How did you get into mining in the first place? What was your
Well,
background? Well, actually, if you tell me your name and your age and where you were born.
I was born at a place called Woolbusy at Chasewater. Know the place, do you? Right, and then I went to St. Ives. Most of my time was spent in St. Ives. I was there for quite a few years until when I started work first, I went gardening. And then I went to a mine called St.Ives. I don't know if you ever tell it or not. St.Ives mine. It's down Lanner way.
Yeah.
And I was in the blacksmith shop. Blacksmith shop there I was. Well, there for a couple of years. And then after that, I went mining. I went all the time at East Pole mine. I was different mines. I went down Mount Wellington. I don't know if you know that one. Mount Wellington. And Paul Vera at St.Ives. That one too. Worked there. I then ended up at East Pole. I was there at East Pole until it closed down. Then I was sent from East Pole down to Geber down St. Just. And when I finished down there, the war was all over then, and we had to get back to civil life again, and I got out of mining and I went medicine after that. So that's how I worked.
So were you underground at Tressavine then?
No, I was in the blacksmith shop at Tressavine. But I was a drill boy, really. I was a drill boy there. And, well, that's quite a hot mine, that was, quite a hot mine. I had a brother who was working there, underground he was. And he was a miner too. All my family was a miner. Well, father and my brothers was miner. They're dead now. But
which mines were they working at?
Well, they worked at St. Ives mine, Pulbera, and also down St.Ives. They worked St.Ives mine. Most of the time they worked St.Ives mine. Because they're older than I am, so was at the time, see. And that's why I got the job out St.Ives mine, because they was underground working, and I got the job there in the blacksmith shop. So that's how I got the job, really. Because it was a hard job to get work at the daytime, in the days. It was, work was scarce anyhow. But that's the mining, the only thing is, it was mining and that was it.
When did you start work at Tressavine?
Oh, I started there when I was about 16.
So what year was that?
Oh, well, I couldn't tell you what the year that was. Oh, quite a few years ago now. I couldn't tell you exactly the years I was there, but I was there quite a few years. I never went underground in St.Ives. But I come from St.Ives, I went to Mount Wellington. No, wait a minute. No. Before that, I went Falmouth Docks. Went Falmouth Docks after that. And I worked Falmouth Docks for about 2 years. And I used to cycle to and from Falmouth from here. Yes, I did not know what do you call it. I used to cycle from here to Falmouth. You wouldn't believe that, will you?
It's quite a hill, isn't it, over the top?
Yeah, I done that for 2 years. And then I finished the docks, and I come back to, well, I bought a motorbike at the last upshot when I was down Falmouth Docks, and I got fired at the end of the week. So that was good weather, was it? Anyway, I got then I went to mining, and I went mining ever since. So I'd actually done 14 years mining, all told. And I also had done a bit of underhand stowing and back stowing, but mostly driving. Was my full problem, was driving in the tunnels.
So when you first started then, were you stoping when you started underground first of all?
No, I first started driving. I tell you what happened in the first place was, I started to make one of them, and a man from Blackwater, he's an old miner, and he employed we youngsters at 3 shifts to start drilling in these ends. And that's how I learnt mining, really. He used to come there until we were to put the holes though. And it used to be 3 shifts we did, youngsters mine. One were about, I don't know, say 1920, something like that. It used to start as where we put the holes though. And I used to blast, and then as we got on, so we used to let we get on with it best we could and do it ourselves. That's where I learned it too. I learned it mining there, which he brought me on. I remember he had a plan new car. I met him somewhere out Blackwater he lived. I said, I paid for that car you got there. He said, who's that, Andy? I said, I worked for your ends when I was mining. Oh, he said, I remember. But he made some money out of it, because he was in charge of the lot, and they had to respend the expense of all the drills and the cement and the dynamite and the caps and that. He had it all expensive, but we didn't have nothing to do with that. We just got on with the work.
Oh, I see.
But he had it in charge of it, see.
But in other places you worked, you were responsible for your own. You had to buy your own.
Oh, you had to buy your own drills, you buy your own shutter for your drills, pay for that, and you pay for your dynamite, and you pay for your caps. Well, I pay for that, so you had your money you win. But then, at the time, it was called Cabin Tom at the East Pole, anyhow. He was very good to me, he was. Because the war was on, and we couldn't do nothing wrong. Because we had this tin, which was 6 inches wide, and he wanted the tin bad during the war, and that's the way we got on. More we done, better he liked it.
How come? I mean, what were you doing just before you went to East Pool, and why did you go to East Pool?
Oh, I was for Pilbara before I went to East Pool. We was out there, backstowing, we'll say out there, and driving in, but under the sea was, but very wet holes we had out there. But I never made much money out there because I wasn't in the crowd, if you understand what I mean. But same doing with Keeper. We won't have to get on very far in there because the Keeper men was there first. They had the advantage of everything, see, but we won't have to get on very far. We were shoving the worst places on it, have it that way. But then we'd get on, we got enough money to live on anyhow. But one experience we had was, we come up from underground, one shift, doing Keeper mine, doing St. John's. And we got out of the cage, walked across the road, and the cage went away. Cage went away. Rope broke. Cool, that was luck, wasn't it?
Was anybody in it then?
Nobody in it.
God.
Frightened we that much that we didn't know what to do, because you only then got out of it. He must have been on the tick, see, a break before you got out. And he went out, gone.
How far did it fall?
Oh, he went down. He got clips on the cage. When they do go away, he got board wood on the sides, and the clips on the skip that pull in the woods, and they went down a couple of 300 feet, I suppose, before he could stop. But still, it was a luck, wasn't it? Another experience I had was at St. Pilbara mine. We was coming up from underground, and it was on a Saturday afternoon, of course, because we worked Saturday afternoons then, and the kids stopped in the middle of the shaft. I always said, my God, what's happened there now? Crowler was in the skip, up and halfway up in the shaft. So he said, what do we do now? Oh, we couldn't do it on. Oh, I suppose he was there about half hours. Last of all, we started a shift. So when we went up, the driver went to sleep. He went to sleep. He was, I don't know how, but he went to sleep.
What happened? Did you ring the bell or anything then?
We couldn't ring no bells in the skip because the
I see,
bells
no
were
way.
down the bottom.
There's no way you could have.
No way so you could have got out there. But another experience he had, we was singing the shaft. Singing the shaft he was. That's at the pub where I'm mine. The skip was working the whole time on top of it, going up and down. I didn't used to like it very much because we were singing down this what I call, and we used to be 3 ships at that time down there, and we seen the rollers outrise in the shaft. So everybody dived for the chain ladder. This time, the pumpman had a heart attack. Good God, so we had experience in us. But the way we went up that chain ladder, my God.
So what happened then? It actually came right way down?
Crashed right down. Well, the time we got up so far as we could, our water was up at our neck, because it rise quickly, no pumping on. We got out of that, but then somebody tricked that, see, and started the pump work again, I suppose, after all. But we never worked more that day. That night, it was the night time. Because you'd be 3 shifts on that, see.
So what happened when you're actually sinking a shaft? How was that done? Was that blasting as well? Or was
Blasting as well, yeah.
Same sort of things?
Different
ways of
yeah, different ways of doing that, see. You just drill the same way as you drill the end, really. You have the first one out and then follow up behind it so that you blast a lot. But you're working under that skip, say for a shift, 8 hours. I didn't even like it very much because you never know what was happening, really. It's quite an experience, that is, under there. But I used to like mining. I used to like it, man. And you come home from work, you have your meal, and you settle down for the evening. Somehow I used to go out on a beer, mostly, because he's getting good money at the time, see. Well, the chaps I work with are dead. And I had one chap work with me, and he used to have water dammed up behind one of the stoves, and because it's hot in there, and he used to dive in this water. Well, it wasn't no good to him, see, he'd die with calcium consumption. So you've got to look after yourself when you're mining, haven't you? There's no good to say, well, look, I'll do this and I'll do that. No, you've got to look after yourself. And some of them was beer. As soon as they go up on the beer, no food, just on the beer, wine and woman, that's what I have for. That's what it is, see? But I never done that. And that's ringing out, he's never so long. So it's quite an experience, not really. But I used to like mining. I used to love it because I used to go work the next morning. The same thing happened again. Because he used to have the trammers mucked out in the end during the night, so he mucked out for the first morning. Then you're in, wash down again, start the same thing over again. And another 4 feet. So you would pile it up. So you do that for a month, and then you have your pay at the end of the month. which was very good money.
So you were actually paid footage rather than daily rates?
It's, say, no, it used to be footage, say 40 feet or 50 feet, maybe 60 feet. A fellow is 6 foot, say. So you add 50 or 60 feet or 70 feet, then you get paid that the footage. Get paid for that footage, see. Well, that used to be very good, really. But of course, you could have, if you were at if you weren't very good at it, you could, someone would fail to blast properly, and hanged up. Well, then that's trouble again. There is trouble when you do that, because you're got half an hour in a column and half an hour up and stay behind, because they never drilled right. You got drilling right, so to bring the walls right, you've got to work that out yourself, really.
And that would depend on the rock as well.
On the rock, it all depends on the hard rock, and the dynamite you put in. The dynamite you put in. Say if it's hard rock, well, you say I give that extra couple of sticks. Or say if you're in bad, well, you say 3 sticks might be enough for that then. Well, I make some more. That do 3 sticks of dynamite. Well, then you follow up behind that again, and you use your own imagination about the walls. Say, for instance, you've got that cut out like that. Well, then the next one you've got a couple of foot away, and that follow that out until and deeper. Go deep again, see, until you get 6 feet in. Then you got your walls right run your end until you've got your lifters, your bag holes, and your side holes all ready.
So which ones would go first? The side holes? Or
No, the first hole we go is what we call a cut. A cut, say, is a cut. Here's a wall that I got. We cut that in there. Well, that's the first hole we fire. That one we more about, well, say a foot. Say a foot to that first hole, because it's the first one to go. Then after that, your fuse is longer. I used to stay outside and count them as they go. Could you count them as you go, see? And you say, well, that's all they go on. Outside we're way away from the level now, but if you don't go off, and you say, well, that's so many holes gone off, 17 holes gone off. Well, you know it's all right, no wrong. Don't you go back and see what's wrong, because you know what's gone off. That's how I always work it, anyhow. And well, that's really how everybody always work it, the same thing. You say that there's all right. Well, I said all right. I say well, they always work it, see. But like you say, if you didn't do it right, then there's trouble.
How far away did you go then after you set the charges? How long was the fuse in terms of time to enable you to get away from it?
Well, I said there's a foot between them, right?
Yeah, but how long?
The first one was a foot, see. It don't take more than, well, I'd say 3-4 minutes to light up the fuses, because you've got them all ready, see. Yeah. All you've got to do is put the stick, each chisel to each stick, and light them. And it should light, and as soon as you put the stick there, it lights, see. Light. And, well, 3-4 minutes is easy. Then you get out of it then, see. So you get that done. Then you go back, run out the level, and go back and see how many holes went off. That's how we used to work it anyhow. But like you say, if you didn't do that, if you had water in your holes, then there's trouble, because you couldn't light the scissors. We had 2 chaps got killed at East Pole. The same thing. They had water coming in their holes, coming out of their holes, see, and they stayed there too long. I was on shift at the time. They was blasted. They was blasted to pieces because they stayed there too long. because it don't pay to stop there. If you can't get a cheese or it's light, then leave it. It's no good for you to say, well, I must get this lighted and all that. You haven't got time to that. You got to get light them all. If you understand what I mean. It's no good for you to play around or nothing like that. It's on it, and it's as fast as you can go. Light cheeses. And that's it. Light the fuse, I mean. And then as you light the fuse, so you also go off occasionally. Then you run out and wait for the result.
Now, what happened? I mean, a moment ago you were saying if it hadn't blown completely, what did you do then? Was it unsafe to drill it then, or could you bar it down?
I couldn't drill it more.
Mm.
You see, if that happened, which didn't happen to me very much, but if it did happen, you leave holes. Leave holes there in the, what do you call it? So what you had done is charge the holes up again with dynamite and blast them again. Because you look if you drill more holes and that, because dynamite is there. You would blow yourself up. So what we used to do is, if that happened, is to drill, not drill anymore, just put dynamite in and blast it when they were blasted off. And that's how we used to do it. But as a rule, it never happened very often. Well, it never happened to me anyway, because I always done the right thing. But I have seen it done, blasted, and then they got to blast the holes again. Then, well, it means extra work and no footage. Like a cup of tea, will he?
Oh, I'm all right just now, thanks.
You can have a cup of tea, will you?
No, I'm all right, thanks. Just
Sure.
Yes, thanks. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I mean, you want one?
I heard there is, but you.
All right, no, I'm all right, thanks.
All right, sure. If I have a cup of tea, you want.
Can you say something about when you were stoping then?
When I stowing, the same thing happened then as you're stowing, as you're doing when you're driving, because you got your stow was up like that. You drew your hole up like that, drill that hole up there, and so it would say 2 feet up, and you would blast that. Then you follow your holes up behind that again until you get up to 6 feet on an hour that way, and then you blast that down, and down you come. That's how you see, but the same thing went around stoping.
How would you drill then? If underhand stoping, you're going up into it.
No, underhand stoping, you had to drill this way.
Down into it.
Down into it.
Right.
I would drill the same thing, see. Drill that first hole.
Yeah.
First hole, it's, well, 3 foot. Drill on the same holes. There you are, drill it in there 3 foot, so you lift up. Then the holes behind that again. So he come up again. So he would to blast that upwards. So he would come up in one solid piece. Then you follow up your holes over and that. Because once you've done your middle, if you understand what I mean, you're all right. See, for your side holes and your back holes and all that are the same down bottom.
Because you can get in at them then.
Yeah. I was doing keeper. I had stowing down there for a bit of a while, and a rock come down past me, about a ton of weight. Well, he just rode past me. He frightened me.
Was it in a stove?
In stove, yeah. Because it was, well, mile. I don't say miles, but scores and scores of feet behind me, all over me. I don't know where this rock come from, but he passed me. I had to go up. I couldn't stay there longer. He frightened me. He just passed me. So that was near one.
How big were the stopes then?
Oh, massive stopes. I can say miles, but not miles, but quite a massive thing. Massive. I done pretty well all of mine, really, all the way through, really. Yes, I done it, well, the whole way through, yeah. Do Mr. Cabri say he done any mining? Did he say he done mining, haven't he?
Yeah, he said he was with you at one stage. Was he with you doing developing the Tolgus end or something, or was that somebody else?
No, he don't tell us him with me, I think, because he never worked actually with me. Because when East Pool finished, he was sent to Scotland.
Yeah.
And I was sent down Geever, and we had to go because it was under nationality. We had to go where we were sent at that time, and I was sent down Geever. He was sent to Scotland.
So that was.
But see, East Pool was a very hot mine, and Geever was a coal mine.
Not because of the sea.
Yeah, because of the sea. We were under the sea down there, and your holes was mostly wet as well.
Were you working in water a lot of the time?
Most of the time, yeah, water, yeah. Water coming in through the holes and that, see. But the pump used to keep it pretty well dry. Pumps used to keep it dry, see. But he wouldn't believe that, would he? Not really. But it wasn't as good as East Pool, and have it that way. East Pool was the best mine I worked in.
Was it?
Yeah, it was the best mine. For money part, and for lots of things, really. For blasting, and for drilling, and, well, for everything, really.
When you were at East Pool, then how did you get from the dry down to the place in which you were working?
Walk. I used to walk from East Pool. When you go down in the mornings, go down under Tiety. You know where Tiety is, though? I walked down under Tiety. You go right down there. That's quite a way to walk, isn't it? Down there. That's underground down there, all underground, see? Down there. Of course, it's down 1900 fell down. But, like you say, it was quite a walk.
How long did that take?
Oh, I suppose it'd take 5 or 10 minutes, I suppose, to get down there.
How long did it take to get down to the level?
You mean right down?
Yeah, when you were riding down.
Oh, it don't take 1 minute or two right down. But, what I say, in 3-4 minutes, that's all, because he drop it like a stone down, see. And you feel your heart come up, your stomach come up, and then you get down the bottom, it's like this. The rope was stretching, see. Did you ever been on the ground, Bill? No. You couldn't experience that, did I?
So how much is it moving then when it actually gets to the bottom?
Well, just a bit, just say a bit like that, just like that. Yeah. Because it got 19 foot of a rope on the end, see, and it's that stretch. That's well. Some of them used to get on the going if they want to get back. Well, they want to go for a drink or anything like that. They go up right up on a tram load of rubbish. I've never done that. That's dangerous those, yeah. But I never forget the 2 chaps that was killed at East Pool. I was on shift at the time. Oh my God, I've never seen anything like that. Blasted to pieces he was.
Can you describe what the buildings were like on the surface? What the buildings were and where they were?
Well, I don't know much about the buildings on the surface. More than the Wem house, that's all the rope was, the winder and all that. That's all there. And that's a ticklish job for a driver to that, you know. Driver, they skip up and do a drive because he got a life on his hands, haven't he? He got, say, 12 men on his hands, right up and down. Well, he was like sardines in this cage, see. He got a responsibility, yeah. The funny thing, after all this mining I'd done, I went missing. Isn't that funny? I went missing after that.
How long were you doing that then?
Oh, 20 years, I suppose. I suppose it's 20 years done missing. I started off with tradings. I don't know if you ever tell tradings or no. The contractor. And, well, went on there for a bit of while. Went as a labourer. And I picked it up as mason. And then went as a mason. And then, well, that's how it went on.
Is that because the mining was winding down?
Mining was winding down, yes. They were winding down. No.
So you never worked at Crofty or anything like that?
Never worked at Crofty, but some of them was sent to Crofty when they finished these pools, see. But I was sent down to Kiever.
But
I would like to go on to Crofty, really, but you had to go where you were sent, see.
So you were lodgings down at Geever then, or?
No, in a hostel.
Yeah.
I think there was about 40 of us in a hostel dinner. And we used to have a meal at 5 o'clock. You used to go work in the mornings, because you had breakfast, I know. But you used to go work in the mornings. They worked at 3 o'clock. And they used to go night shift. You didn't have no afternoon shift. You go night shift. And they would all have your meals at 5 o'clock. All have your meals at 5 o'clock. It wasn't too bad. I don't know, it was down, the hotel there now was down St. Just. It used to do at St. Just. What the hell was that place called? Oh, it's just out on the St. Just rock there. I forget what it's called now. I forget what it's called. But we used to lodge about 40 of us there was. In the hotel there now.
So how long were you there altogether?
Oh, I was there about 6 months. 6 months there, yeah.
And then you went into the building straight after that then?
I went, after I come back from there, I went to the brewery. Worked at the brewery. Brewing beer. Because I had a very good job there too. But then I was there for about, well, no, it's been 12 months I suppose. And then they started coming back from the war. And we had to finish. And that's the way I went on the building trade.
Do you think, I mean, you obviously enjoyed working at East Pool, but was it a profitable mine? I mean, you were making money out of it, but...
It was at the time that we was there.
Was it?
Yeah, it was profitable when we was there. Because it was quite a price for tin, and tin was scarce at that time, and they was making the profit. Because the more we got out, the better they like it, because they had more tin, didn't they? Because our load was about 6 inches wide, and of course you had to blast a whole lot, but you had to go through a crusher, see, and go through a table or siphon out the tin. But it was good. They was doing good. I forget them. It was tin was under the price. It was a good price anyhow.
Did you ever go down to Tolverton? Down to where they were crushing it and...
No, I never went down there. No, I never went down there. No, I was down at East Pool mine.
Was there a crusher at East Pool as well, or was it mainly just...
Crusher at East Pool.
Yeah.
Crusher at East Pool, yeah. Crusher at East Pool, and they had to, if when you blast it, trammers would tram it back to shaft, and it come up. They would go for a crusher. Well, there used to be a chap there with a big hammer. He used to pick up the big stones with a big hammer before he go through the crusher. And then he go through the crusher, and then it goes on the tables. You know, the tables are what they've siphoned the tin. But they done very good while the war was on. But the point is, he was still good when we was there, because we went down to 1900, and we struck solid granite, no tin, because the cabins thought that the load was going down through the seam, right down through, see, but it didn't go down there. And we sunk down to 19 fella, and when we got down there, it's down solid granite, and one got closed down. And that our load was keeping the load that we was on was keeping the mine going, really. But soon as we struck the bottom, 1900, that was it. None of them solid granite.
Well, what was happening over at Mitchell Shaft? What was that used for?
Mitchell Shaft?
Yeah.
Well, I never worked at Mitchell Shaft, see.
But was it still in use then when you were working?
No, I wasn't in use when I was there working. No, I wasn't in use. It's there before my time, before I got there, really. Yeah.
So the only shaft was the
Taylor Shaft.
Was Taylor's shaft.
Yeah, Taylor Shaft. That's the only shaft I worked in, really. Because we were down to 1800, and there to 1900. But there's levels above that, again, which I never worked. But still, that load was up there. It go through a seam, they go through, right through, see? Don't they? Right up through the ground. That's the way you got a backstop, and was that's where you got bossels and that. You got bossels. You understand? I mean, they bossels. Bossels. When we try this level in, you say. There's chaps behind me who draw what do you call it, an intermittent wall behind me. Behind me another tunnel on top of me. Then he would drill down, got the next level up, and drill down into that hole. And then they would fix up bossels. What they call bossels. One of the chaps there, he had his hand cut off because when he was a trammer. One of the chaps on that paper there, he put his hand up to loosen one of his rock, and he catch one of his hand up there. He had his hand cut off. I was sent for the doctor who cut his hand off. My God, that was any trouble that was though. He was in that picture I saw you just now.
Is that the chutes then, or what's that?
That's the chutes. That's right, the chutes. That's what they call them, the chutes. We call them bossels. The timbermen come in and make chutes of them, see? Put chutes up and then chutes up, and then as you blast up in the back slopes, come down in the chutes, and that's how they tram them out. The load is still there, see? The load that I'm driving here, will say, that load go right up to the back slope, doesn't it? And they're drilling that as well, and that's coming down in the chutes. And then they tram it out from the chutes, see? You quite a experience, really, to experience. But then they got these bucket now. These days they got. Well, they don't bucket no shovel with a hand now. They got these are machines that muck them out. I mean, or tell them
Scoop it up.
Scoop it up and put it back. They got these sort of things now, see. Well, I tell you, in my day, they used to have a shovel, and that's what we had. And also, they told me now, it's different mine than what I used to be. They got 9-foot drills now.
Mm.
Well, they used to bring a 6-foot run now easily. But I can't understand it really, because my experience was the 6-foot drills. That's how I could manage it.
What was the diameter of the drill? What was the diameter of the drill? How thick was the drill?
Oh, a diameter drill is an ordinary drill. I don't know if you've ever seen an ordinary drill or not. About that thick.
About an inch.
It used to have it compressed air, and you buzz the animal on the. You understand that, do you? Buzz the animal as you drill. So you drill into holes and drill into so you get 6 foot in.
Yeah.
Well, you change over your drills. So you put a 3-foot drill in first, we'll say. Then you change over to a 4-foot drill. Then you change over to a 6-foot drill, until you get that hole in there. So you take all your time. And there was no time to lose. I didn't any, because the time I used to take there, I used to have a job that make the 3 o'clock one, because the hole was behind. Because if you drill your holes dry, you drill your holes faster, see. You drill faster. But then I didn't do that.
It must have been quite noisy and quite dusty.
Oh, yes, it's quite dusty, yeah. I used to have plenty of water flying about mine. Then there's a trammers come behind me, and the what I call come behind me, pump man, then the air compressor. You get that water, once you blast it and you've got the 4 feet, we'll say, the plumber, the airman is there, get that extra footage in for you, turn off your next day for blasting.
So did they come in at night then?
Come in at night, yeah.
So the next day when you went in, it was all ready to go?
All ready to go. Or come in the afternoon shift, perhaps, because we used to leave at 3 o'clock. They used to the blast out, and after we blasted, they used to go back and muck out, but then I didn't know about that.
So they were going down into all that smoke?
They go into that smoke, see. But that's then if they didn't wash them down or do like that, well, that's up to them, wasn't it? Because they had plenty of water. There's no shortage of water. But like you say, it's quite an experience, really.
I mean, the pump would be going all the time. But did you ever go up into the engine house at all?
Yeah, I went up then, and I was out at Eastville when we was out for the meal. We went out there for a supper we had, and the television people took us up in the engine house.
Was that the first time you'd been in the engine house?
That was the first time I was in the engine house, yeah. And went all over the place up there, and they was there as well, and they took a photograph of us there. And did Mr. Cadbury say we made a speech on the telly? Didn't tell you that.
You said the telly was there, you didn't say
we made a speech on the telly. Well, I can't find mine on the telly, I don't know where it's still now. But I made a speech on the telly at Mr. Crabtree's house. Because the interviews at Mr. Crabtree's house, 4 of us I believe it was, and the television people come and took a photograph of us, and we made a speech, or about mine, and that was it. Because I wanted to go to Rhodesia, really. But my missus wouldn't let me go. She wouldn't let me go. She said, if you go, I should walk out.
So that's when you decided to go for building rather than
that's right,
stick with the mining. Yeah. Where were you living at that stage then?
Falmouth Road. St.Ives, I was out at Dice Cottages, isn't they? But most of the time I live in Redrove here. I was in Redrove here. But with the St.Ives was on, I live at St.Ives. Because my mother and father live at St.Ives, see. Yeah.
So what did your father do down the mines? Was he developing as well? Or?
Well, he worked in the mines, but he was a troubadour, what do you call a troubadour? Now, he worked the boroughs for Lord Falmouth. Her tin and for the council. Well, busy, I don't know if you know a place called Well Busy House, do you know it? Well, he worked over there for years. What do you call a troubadour he was. And he used to supply the council with granite, not granite, Elvan stone for the roads, and gravel, and chippings. He was I was sieve, and fraud up against the sieve, and of course I wasn't on the buoy at the time when he was doing this, and I remember throwing his chippings up against a sieve, and then the gravels come down and the sand would go through, and that was for building trade. Of course it's different these days now.
So what was that then? That was after it had been crushed, or from the stamps or something?
No, it's it was earth coming out from coming out from the ground. You see, if you was digging out the ground, we would have soft rock as well as soft ground, but that would go through the sieve. But the rocks would break up to go through the crusher. That would go, not the crusher. It was that iron man to break the stones. He did. I know. I used to have a man. I used to pay him £3 a yard for breaking up stones for the council. That's under Lord Falmouth, that was. But that's all I know about that. But then I wasn't on the buoy at the time, but yeah, that's the experience I had. Anyhow.
When you were back at East Pool, then, I mean, you just got the one shaft, and you've got the pumping engine right beside the shaft.
That's right.
Where's the whim? That's to the side
Well,
somewhere.
whim is there. I don't know if you know the toilets at East Pool still.
No.
That's where the whim was still there.
Was that right next to the compressor house, or is it?
That's right, the compressor house. That's it. Yeah, next to the compressor house.
So that wasn't a steam engine, though, was it?
No, that wasn't steam engine. It was drilled by compressor air, wasn't it? I don't know whether that's a compressor air or no, was it or no? I couldn't tell you that. But we used compressor air, we did. Our drills and that was compressor air.
What was the aerial roadway? Was that driven by electricity? Or was that
What?
the roadway that used to take the buckets to Tolbaden? What was that?
Our red
Yeah.
thing. Used to be electric. That used to be that.
That was electric.
That electric that was. It was, of course, I just remember that really. Yes, that's right. Buckets go from there to Tellus, down to Tolbaden. You remember that, Kenny?
No, but I've seen
You've seen pictures of it?
well, I've seen. Yeah, I've seen a picture of it actually.
Yeah.
Taken during the war. There's a soldier standing by a gate,
Yeah.
and then there's the engine house and the ropeway.
That's right. We are, yes. Yeah, quite an experience. You sure you want to have a cup of tea on it?
No, not for me, thanks. No.
Welcome to everyone.
You gasping?
Eh?
Are you gasping for a cup of tea?
No, I don't gas, man. How are you?
No, I'm fine, thanks. I'm alright. You've actually already answered a lot of the questions that I'd like to know about, but I just wondered if you could say a bit more about did you ever go in any of the old workings at all at the higher levels?
No, I never went in
Never had
there.
any reason to go
I
through
had
them,
no
so-
reason to go up there, no. No, I never had no reason. The whole thing is, we used to, it used to be that if you get you like you're making money, and you used to go work every day, and that's what you used to do, and down there and see where you get on, and that was it, day in, day out, year after year. And so, but I know about the old levels. I know they was there. But like you say, I never been no.
What were the main levels that you'd be on? What, 18 and 19?
1800 I worked mostly. 1800.
So all above that, all of those levels, there's nobody working in them anymore.
No, I wasn't nobody organised there. No, nobody there organised there. Unless a timberman might be working there, or a timberman or something like that, maybe showing up something like.
Well, did all of the waste go to the surface, or was some of it used for backfilling?
All went to surface. All my stuff went to surface anyway, because I had the load on it, see. The tin was there. Yeah. But of course there's other ends there as well. It was low there as well. They mostly went to what do you call up to the crusher. But like you say, the end I was on was the most important one for the ship was on. Now I don't know what Mr. Crabtree was doing in 8 days. That is sure. But did he say he worked with me?
I thought you did say he worked with you on one occasion. Somebody said they were working with you.
He could have done, because if anybody stayed home, then you would get somebody else back, what they say, for a day. Or for a week. Somebody home sick or something like that.
So if you had one of the younger boys working with you, what would you have them doing?
Oh, if the first thing they had to drill is this arm, the bar was rigged up in the middle, and the arm was swinging there. You say, onto the nuts, drop the arm, and screw it up again. I would drop the arm down where I wanted to, and he would screw it up tight again. And I'd be ready to drill the next hole. And say, if we drill that hole now, I say, now ready again, wait, down for lifter this time. We would put down the bottom of the bar, tied up. He would tighten them up, unloosen the first, then I would drop the bar, and he would tie them up again. Mostly what I had to do was the spanner work. It was 2-inch nuts, and on the bar. I don't know if you ever seen a bar.
Sort of, well, you describe it.
Yeah, bar from up the roof down to the ceiling, and an arm on it. I would swing his arm where you want it to, see. But the chap you had working with you, he was the spanner man, out that way.
Did you have to take the drill to the... I mean, after you finished drilling the holes, you took all of that away before you set the charges on?
Oh, yes. Send it back with...
So that was on the tram, you put that in
the tram,
one of the trams?
So put it in the tram, that's right. The trammers put the back shaft, see. Carry back shaft, they would. Next morning when they come down again, they would bring them in on the... Because you had new drills every day, we started to see new drills. Because the drills you had, they're blunt. Time you use them all day, see. Because if it's hard rock, say, you don't take long to blunt the drill, see. But I used to have a chap who worked with me. I know he's dead now, he died with consumption. And he used to buzz the animal, see. Could he buzz that animal? Every time I say, you have a go with this boy, drilling and so on, he would jam on every time. He would go too fast, see. Instead of going on quietly, he would go too fast. Well, he'd jam up the belly. Well, that's trouble for me, that is. I say, hellfire. I got to pull this out again. They would have drawn under a bloody hole.
So What sort of speed is the drill actually revolving
Oh,
at?
if you understand what I mean, your drill is going around, you go, as he's going around, you go slowly, so you feel it going in. You feel the drill going in as you're drilling. As you're drilling the hole, you feel that drill going in. So when he goes to the end of the drill, we say, that's it, that's that one. Take that drill out, put another drill in, then the bigger one. And that goes on until you get 6 feet. Right? My drills are 6 feet long.
Were they flexible at all, the drills? I mean, could it jam? Was it easy to jam it?
Oh, easy to jam if you didn't do it right. You would. Yeah, that's trouble, that is. If you've got a drill jammed up, see, you've got some bloody job, get a drill out then. I used to give him hell because he used to jam him up. And then he used to let him do it very much because he would drill the bugger up and he's jamming up. Because you had, you had a fella, if you understand what I mean, you let the drill as he wish, and then you follow him up, beyond that. Let the drill do the work, but you follow him up, keep going. That's all you had to do, see. But he was forcing. You could force him, because he could jam. And that's work for that, so you jam up a drill, because you can't get out more.
Did you hit rocks unexpectedly? I mean, when you were drilling into it, did you have a good idea that it was going to be pretty soft all the way through, or pretty hard all the way through? Or
Well,
did you
pretty
sort of
hard,
start off
pretty
soft
hard,
and then
no.
all of a sudden hit something?
No, pretty hard. The only thing is, that load, or I used to drill in that hole there and blast that load out first, really. Because that would make some hole, that would see, because that load is soft. And that would make some hole, that would. And I used to follow it up with holes behind them, if I understand what I mean, holes behind them, and beside them, until I got enough to do the side holes, and the back holes, and the lifters, until I know it's all done. But I used to take all the shift. I never had time to do it. I know I was drinking water, that's all. Funny, isn't it? I never was wearing on dinner, wore short pants, that's all. Short pants, that's all we did. It was quite hot, see. And then we went from there down to Geever, a coal mine. Now catch your death of coal there, see.
So you had to wear a lot of clothes down there?
Yes, you had to wear clothes in there, else you'd get freeze.
How deep were you down at Geever then?
I don't know exactly how deep he was there, but quite deep. But St.Ives was the deepest mine around here, I think.
You never went underground there?
I never went underground at St.Ives because he was quite deep. I was 195 feet, I think, 195 fathom.
Can you remember the stamps at Tresevine?
No, I can't. Yeah, I remember him, I think. But can you remember him? Oh no.
I think St.Ives used to talk about.
Oh.
Oh hell.
I was I went on ground at St.Ives, man. I was at the blacksmith shop.
Yeah.
Sharpening drills.
What were the drills made from?
Oh, steel.
Tungsten steel.
Oh, steel. It's strong steel. Yeah. I used to have a machine to put down the handle like that, and the spit was the sharpening. I never seen them away. Well, a very thing for sharpening drills was you put a drill in, press the handle down, and he would sharpen the drill. Of course, the drill was red hot, man. When you put it in there, you put it in the fire, getting red hot. Then you put it in this machine, put the handle down, and drill, and that would sharpen the drill. Then you would bring it out, and tamering, see what temperature it was, and see if it's hard enough, and then you put it back one side.
So how many drills did you take with you on a shift?
Oh, I used to take quite a few because I used to do 17, 18 holes. And you can't use a drill more than, say, twice anyhow. That's all you're using. But I do a lot of drills every day. Do a lot of drills who's contained every day what do you call anything else you want to know, sir?
So you were living in Redruth at the time?
Yeah, living in Redruth most of the time.
And biking over there, motorbiking over there to Eastpool?
No, push biking.
Push
Push biking,
biking.
yeah. No, the only thing is, in later years I had a car. Later years I had a car. And that one before I went messing. I had a car then. An old banger. Oh, Morris 8 I had. And went for the test, passed the test. And I hadn't long give up the car. About, I'd say 2 years ago, give up a car. Some youngsters ran into me. Going up Farm Road it was. And they come down from Lanner and they run into me. 3 youngsters. They tried to beat the lights. I was in the road on. I right off, my car right off. They tried to beat the lights, all right. The youngsters, they was, youngsters. Eh?
Were you hurt?
Yes, I had Car Hospital. Oh, Car Hospital, yeah. And Mrs. had her leg hurt. Yeah. You reckon you get a cup of tea, man? All right.
All right, yep. I'll have one with you then.
Yeah.